What if Ahsoka saved Anakin Skywalker on Mustafar? Let's explore the depths of it in this video. Although Padme was the most important woman in Anakin's life, Ahsoka was a close second. In the few years she served as his padawan, Ahsoka had a huge impact on her master. Teaching her helped instill a sense of responsibility in Anakin, and gave him a person he could relate to about his struggles. So if there was anyone who could have helped him escape the clutches of Palpatine, it was her. Ahsoka surveys the destruction of the Star Destroyer Tribunal, still struggling to understand what happened. She had attempted to contact Anakin, but didn't receive an answer. She then reached out to contact Obi-Wan. The Jedi Master stands in the middle of the ruined Jedi Temple with Yoda. They explain the situation regarding Anakin. She is shocked to hear that Anakin has not only fallen to the dark side, but has also taken part in slaughtering the Jedi. On Mustafar, Anakin had finished killing the last of the CIS Council and was surprised to see not just Padme, but also Obi-Wan. Believing they had turned against him, Anakin begins to choke Padme. As she pleads for him to stop, the sound of weapons being drawn causes Anakin to turn and see Ahsoka and Captain Rex. The two had just arrived and demanded to know what happened. The Jedi were traitors. They were plotting against the Chancellor. It had to be done.
Had to be? General, those inhibited chips turned the clones, my brothers, and your men, into unthinkable killing machines. Nothing will ever require that.
Look around you, Anakin. You say you're bringing peace, but you've turned your back on everything you loved. Anakin looks at the four people and feels his body trembling as their fear, hurt, and anger pour into him. He takes a step back and screams. No! This is for the good of the galaxy! The Jedi betrayed me! Anakin seems ready to slip back into the dark side, but Ahsoka steps forward and asks one question. What about her? She wasn't part of the Jedi. She had every reason to distrust them, and had suffered just as much, if not more. Ahsoka. She says that she had left the Order because she saw its failings, but she was also hunted down just like the others and nearly killed. Was that somehow justified? Was she part of this conspiracy against him? He looks back at her, and horror dawns on his yellow eyes. Anakin doesn't have an answer to that. His mind races back to his actions over the last few days. He thinks of the Jedi, the CSI Council, the younglings. All of those people died because of him, many directly by his hand. Anakin's breath catches in his throat as the weight of his sins crashes over him. He is paralyzed, unable to speak before collapsing. Before he hits the ground, Ahsoka catches him. At the same time, Padme screams in pain as she enters labor. The group quickly takes Padme to get medical treatment. Obi-Wan and Rex offer to tend to the senator, leaving Anakin with his padawan. Ahsoka approaches Anakin, offering him a reassuring smile, saying if Padme and their kids are anything like Anakin, they'll be fine. However, his concerns go deeper, as he asks what will happen now since the Chancellor has won. She insists that things aren't over yet, because they're still here, and that means there is still hope. Together, they could find a way to make things right. The two of them share a long look, and Ahsoka admits she didn't believe it when she heard Anakin turn to the dark side, and still can't look at him the same way. But Anakin made the right choice on Mustafar, and he owes it to the galaxy to fix things.
Right you are, young Ahsoka.
The old Jedi appeared in the doorway, and fixed Anakin with a hard look.
Much you have to atone for, young Skywalker. But redeem yourself, you can, if willing you are.
I will do my best, Master.
Good. But first, see your children you must.
They were greeted by the sight of Padme cradling two precious bundles in her arms. The twins were crying as she attempted to soothe them. Surrounded by the ones he loved most, Anakin felt a renewed hope wash over him. Ahsoka's words echoed in his mind. With his children in his arms and his loved ones around him, Anakin says he's ready to take on the Emperor.
Going after the Emperor won't be easy. He's got the clones under his control and the Senate. We'll need an army to challenge him.
Obi-Wan manages to come up with a plan. He suggests recruiting the Mandalorians, as Bo-Katan respects Ahsoka and Rex. However, their hopes are dashed when they learn Mandalore has fallen to Gar Saxon, who retook the planet with Imperial backing. Despite this setback, Bo-Katan and her loyalists were still willing to stand against the Empire. They agreed to an alliance with the Jedi, but are too few to form an army. Anakin offers an alternative source of recruits, the old battle droids he deactivated. With the data he had acquired on Mustafar, they could locate and reactivate the decommissioned droids scattered across the galaxy. It was a risky plan, especially since they could be seen as CIS sympathizers. This is precisely what made their plan so good. The scars of the Clone Wars are still fresh, and the mere thought of a resurgent CIS would force Palpatine's hand. With this plan in mind, the Jedi and Mandalorians begin traveling across the galaxy, reactivating droid factories to build their army. Anakin and Rex reactivate and upgrade the battle droids, while Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Ahsoka lead daring raids to sow chaos and uncertainty in the Empire. These raids help spread rumors of renegade Jedi and separatist holdouts. Padme contacted her political allies to fan the flame of discontent within the Senate, painting a picture of a growing economic uncertainty and instability. This is built on the fears of a resurgent droid army. It takes months to create their army. But soon enough, the Jedi and Rebels have managed to amass a small fleet of former CIS ships for their invasion of Mandalore. Their attack took the Empire off guard, and the skies above Mandalore became a maelstrom of blaster fire and explosions as former CIS ships descended upon the planet, raining destruction upon Imperial forces. Under the skilled leadership of the Jedi and Mandalorian rebels, they quickly gained the upper hand, driving the Imperial troops back. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, Palpatine receives a hologram from Gar Saxon.
Emperor Palpatine, the Jedi have assaulted Mandalore. They brought rebels, droids, an entire fleet. We require reinforcements immediately.
He's cut off by a lightsaber slicing through his head. Anakin appears in his place, smiling grimly.
Hello there, Chancellor.
That is Emperor, Master Jedi.
No, I prefer Chancellor. Or what about Sith Lord? Or Scum?
Do you have anything else to do aside from insulting me?
I do. I have a message to give. The Jedi aren't going away so easily. So if you want us gone, you have to do it yourself.
Palpatine's loss of Mandalore sent shockwaves through the Empire, igniting doubts and whispers of dissent among the Senate. Sensing an opportunity to undermine his authority, Padme's allies begin questioning Palpatine's ability to maintain control over the galaxy. In response, Palpatine dispatched a battle group of Imperial forces to quell the rebellion on Mandalore. However, unknowns to him, the Jedi and Mandalorians had used the time to prepare for the inevitable counterattack. Gathering Imperial dissenters and learning about the secrets of the inhibitor chips, they bolstered the ranks with new droids. When the Imperial forces arrived, they were met with heavy resistance. The Mandalorians capture as many clones as they can and remove their inhibitor chips, liberating them from Palpatine's control. This act swelled their numbers, but also dealt a devastating blow to the Empire's military capabilities. Despite the Empire's overwhelmed numerical advantage, the rebels fought and turned the tide of the battle in their favor, resulting in a humiliating defeat for Palpatine's forces. The loss of an entire battle group and the defection of so many clones dealt a severe blow to Palpatine's prestige. It was so bad that some of the planets began to rise against the Empire, including former CIS worlds and the far-flung Outer Rim planets. One of the survivors who managed to escape to Coruscant was given a holodisc which revealed Anakin's smiling face.
Chancellor, I'd expected more from the Great Empire. It seems like there might be a war on your hands. Tell me, are your people willing to accept another war?
You think yourself clever, Skywalker? You have a handful of worlds in the corners of the galaxy.
A few worlds and a lot of battle droids that aren't going anywhere. Oh, did I thank you for those clones you gave me?
We shall see how many of those you have left when I am finished.
And how many more invasions will that take? Like I said, this is your mess. And if you want it cleaned, you have to do it yourself.
As the hologram flickered and died, the gravity of the situation hung over Palpatine. Continued failures would only undermine his position. Unfortunately, Anakin was right, and this rebellion required his attention. Palpatine called for his transport and departed for Mandalore. His absence was not entirely unnoticed, as Padme's allies in the Senate reported it to her. With the warning, the Jedi and Mandalorian rebels fortified their defenses and braced themselves for the inevitable confrontation with Palpatine. Weeks passed until a chilling hologram transmission announced his arrival. A soldier stationed at the docks reported the sudden appearance of a hooded figure, only to be swiftly silenced by the humming blade of a lightsaber. The transmission cut off abruptly. Rex, Obi-Wan, and Yoda gathered a force of elite Mandalorians, ARC troopers, and Magna Guards to confront whatever threat awaited them. Anakin and Ahsoka, meanwhile, rallied the rest of the troops to reinforce them. At the end of the docks close to his ship, they came face to face with the hooded figure, his presence radiating power. Igniting his lightsabers, Palpatine smiled.
Is this the rabble you've assembled against me, Master Jedi?
Enough it was to crush your armies, Chancellor. Foolish you were to come alone.
Did you truly believe I would face you alone?
Suddenly, dozens of figures emerged from Palpatine's ship, each bearing a crimson lightsaber. The Inquisitors, led by the Grand Inquisitor, rushed forward ahead of their master, cutting through the ranks of the assembled rebels, their movements a blur of red against the backdrop of night. Yoda and Obi-Wan meet the challenge, cutting down the first Inquisitors. But before their bodies even hit the ground, Palpatine appears in front of them with his weapons drawn. Palpatine, his face twisted into a sneer as he fought with a savage grace, cutting down anyone who got in his way. Each strike was met with equal skill by Yoda and Obi-Wan, their movements fluid and precise as they tried to overcome the Sith Lord's formidable defenses. The battleground became a swirling world of light, shadow, sparks, and electricity. Blaster fires streaked through the air while lightsabers clashed, sending sparks everywhere. Despite their best efforts, Yoda and Obi-Wan were hard-pressed against Palpatine's relentless assault. His mastery of the dark side fueled his every moment, giving him an edge that threatened to overwhelm them.
Where is Skywalker? I have business with him.
We'll never tell you.
Then I suppose I'll have to level the city to find him.
All around them, the tide of battle shifts in favor of the Inquisitors as Mandalorian, droid, and clone all fall under the dark powers wielded by their foes, who were more formidable than they had anticipated. Yoda barely manages to defend himself against Palpatine, whose malevolent laughter echoes across the battlefield. His dark power threatened to overpower the pair, sending Obi-Wan flying with the Force, and then driving Yoda to his knees with a burst of lightning. As he raised his lightsaber for the finishing blow, the sound of blaster fire echoed through the air as a new wave of resistance fighters poured onto the scene. At their head, Anakin stood shoulder to shoulder with Ahsoka and Bo-Katan. The Jedi's blades flashed with deadly precision as they engaged Palpatine. The air crackled with the energy, each strike sending shockwaves rippling through the Force.
Chancellor, I heard you were looking for me.
Indeed, my boy. You caused me a lot of trouble with your defection.
Well, you can thank my padawan for talking some sense into me.
Then let me thank her properly.
As Palpatine unleashed his vicious assault against Ahsoka, her twin lightsabers blazed to life, a whirlwind of motion, and blocked and parried his every blow. Her agility and speed kept him back until Anakin moved to cover her blind spots. His lightsaber strikes at Palpatine's exposed flank. The two Jedi fought in perfect harmony as they shared a single mind. Their bond as master and apprentice shines through. With Yoda joining the fray, Palpatine was pushed onto the defense. Against the combined might of Anakin, Ahsoka, and Yoda, the Sith Lord found himself struggling to maintain his advantage.
It seems you're losing, Chancellor. Why don't you surrender, and we'll go easy on you?
I admit I'd hoped you'd come so that I could kill you properly. But I also wanted you to watch this.
He then unleashes a powerful shockwave that sends all the nearest combatants flying, including the 3 Jedi. Palpatine then sends an order and 3 Inquisitors rush to Obi-Wan, who is rallying the soldiers. They attack him at once, forcing him to the defense. While distracted, Palpatine flings one of his lightsabers right into Obi-Wan's back. The Jedi Master can only scream as he sees the lightsaber sticking out from his chest before collapsing to the ground. A primal scream tore from Anakin's throat, reverberating through the chaos of battle. He hurls himself at Palpatine, his lightsaber a blur of motion as he unleashes a relentless barrage of strikes. Palpatine continues to taunt him, his words dripping with malice. The whispers of power and control echoed in Anakin's ears, promising him the strength he needed to overcome his enemies. Anakin allows the dark powers to flow through him unchecked. His attacks grow more brutal and relentless until he strikes Palpatine, slicing one arm from his shoulder and driving him to his knees. But rather than let him fall, he begins to choke him with the Force, Anakin's dark eyes boring into him as he threatens to end the old man's life. But as he prepares to crush his neck, Ahsoka places a hand on her master's shoulder and shakes her head. The anger in Anakin slowly dissipates, and he lowers Palpatine to the ground. But his lightsaber flashes and takes Palpatine's other arm, leaving him unable to channel the Force. The remaining Inquisitors are defeated, and the rebels cheer as they've accomplished what the CIS had failed to do. With the Chancellor, they now have a tremendous bargaining chip. The Empire had not been able to fully establish itself, allowing the rebels to negotiate from a position of strength. They demand the re-establishment of the Republic, with new elections. Palpatine, meanwhile, will be put on trial while the Jedi are to be pardoned. In exchange, the rebels will deactivate their droids and lay down their weapons. These terms are agreed to, and Bail Organa soon becomes the new Chancellor. He sentences Palpatine to life imprisonment with the Jedi guarding him. Meanwhile, a grand funeral is held for Obi-Wan and the other Jedi. After this send-off, Anakin surprises everyone by announcing that he is leaving the Jedi Order. After nearly falling to the dark side, he believes it is best to leave the world of politics and war in favor of a simpler life. Padme joins him, leaving her position in the Senate as the two raise their family. They find a quiet corner of the galaxy where Anakin works as a mechanic to provide for them. Ahsoka, meanwhile, is granted her master's place and helps Yoda rebuild the Jedi Order. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.